Get out. I have a question for you. Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is Lord.
Hello and welcome in to another episode of Offensively Accurate, hosted by yours truly, Atlas Thugged, aka Aaron Shepard, aka the most racially ambiguous white man besides Nick Fuentes in the political space. We have a lot to get into today. Massive show, actually. There's so much going on, and quite frankly, none of it is good. And appreciate seeing everybody in here. Why use the white Jesus? Because that's the real one. We have just so much going on. First couple of things I'll get into that are going to fall outside the bounds of what we're going to cover on this show largely. And the first would be this, just a small comment, again, going back to the overall beef as it pertains to Nick Fuentes. And I think Nick's actually right in what he kind of alluded to, the analogy he gave, which is it feels very Trumpian. I remember those early days and around what was like, 2015, when the Republican primary had like 30 people in it. And I think it was 21 actually, to be specific. And watching as basically no attack would land on Donald Trump. Everyone was going after him, but nothing really would stick. And I'm seemingly feeling like that's what's happening with Nick right now. Because if you kind of zoom out in a broader sense, it feels like the right is searching for new leadership, right? Who's the king who will lead us? And that seems to be what's happening in the cultural space, in the political arena. Outside of that, just want to leave that comment in there. The second thing is there's another story that's not going to fall outside of the bounds of today, because we're going to largely be paying attention to everything. Zohran Mamdani, Donald Trump's approval tanking, everything in terms of the actual current state of the Republican Party. But that story is actual geopolitical, and that goes to the tensions of Russia and Venezuela. So just a small statement here for you guys to pay attention to this. It looks like we're saber rattling to a great degree with Russia. And I'll start here. Russia supplied air defense weapons and systems to Venezuela. They already got delivered. Now, also, additionally, on top of that, Russia is now open to the idea of giving hypersonic missiles to Venezuela. This is all in response to the obvious maximum pressure campaign the United States is pulling out against Venezuela right now in an attempt to pull off regime change in Venezuela to get Maduro out of office. Now, the part that's a little terrifying is actually last week, this seemed to have gone unnoticed in the mainstream media, but last week, Donald Trump did order the military to begin retesting nuclear weapons for the first time in 3 decades. This all spells out to me, and quite frankly, what I would expect in response would be that Russia is going to probably start their nuclear testing if they haven't been already. This seems to be more coming from Russia than I was expecting. But it does appear to be they're going to basically force the Trump administration out into the open in terms of like how public this kind of attempt at Venezuela is going to be, and in terms of how it's actually going to, mesh out in the political arena. But just wanted to point some attention there before we get into the actual main topic of today, which is the fact that the GOP is crumbling, and in more ways than one. We're talking the GOP at the top end. We're talking the GOP and Republican Party as it sits in its current kind of status in terms of these marquee elections happening around the country. The MAGA movement on the outside, the people, the cultural element of it also falling apart. And then at the other end is the Heritage Foundation. Heritage Foundation, I called it yesterday. Kevin Roberts is probably going to be out of the presidency. He'll probably be stepping down by the end of this week. Mark my words. I guarantee Kevin. I don't even know if Kevin Roberts may make it to the end of tonight. After his meeting was once again leaked to the mainstream press. I believe it was the Washington Beacon leaked the entire meeting. I tried watching through as much of it as I could. There's a lot to get into. We will cover that as well. But before I get into anything, we need to I need people to absorb this post, because this is going to be kind of the main idea of what this entire show is going to be about. So this is from Andrew Torba here, Mr. Base Torba. Let me zoom in on this, and let me get this stupid ad block out of the way. But this is what it reads from Andrew Torba. He says, tonight should be a lesson for the Trump admin. Dump the Israeli lobby baggage and start appeasing us, or wave the midterms goodbye. We're not voting for any more wall kissers, token minorities, or grifters. Give us some actual America First candidates, or don't even bother. And that is the idea behind everything that's going on. We have to continue and hold the Republican Party hostage until they actually do what we voted them in for one, the first time around, but also to commandeer them into the direction we would like them to be. Now, this actually can have a bunch of different definitions, and largely I would take it to the groiper and groiping these people to, I almost said a really bad word, but groiping the life out of them, if you will, all their upcoming events. And we're already seeing the consequences of this, with both the New Jersey race being lost to a Democrat woman, with also the Virginia race losing to Abigail Spanberger winning the race. On top of that, you also have Jay Jones, who was the topic of a scandal of text messages where he was very explicit and publicly talking about wanting to harm a political opponent's children. He also won his race. So you have en masse all around the country, and additionally, the biggest one is Zohran Mamdani, which I called that one months ago. He was going to win that. Everybody knew he was going to win that for a while ago. Winning the mayoral race, and we're going to look into some of the actual data behind who voted for him, where it came from, and what the age brackets are, because I think it is extremely telling. And we're going to really nail the head down on this one. So whatever you have to do, melt this down, inject it into your veins, because if the Republican Party can't get this through their heads, that it's going nowhere, and we probably will be facing a blue wave. We'll probably have Gavin Newsom 2028. That seems to be the direction the country is going. And let me start with this too. We're going to cover it in more detail, but Donald Trump's approval rating for the youth, I believe people under the age of 30, has tanked to less than minus 50%. It is like a 58% percentage point swing in the matter of like 4 or 5 months. The youth are done. The youth, the Gen Z, even the millennial generation is done. And it's exactly for a lot of these reasons on both sides of the aisle, both left and the right. People are done with the Israel first agenda. Now, also, Dave Smith had a similar comment on this, and this is where Dave Smith went. Now, he, wrote a wall of text. I'm not going to read all of it, but it's the same thing. The answer to all of this is Israel. So he's kind of asking these questions. Why is all this happening? Why is all the support disappearing? The answer to all of this is Israel. Like it or not, that's the truth. Instead of America first, we got Israel first instead. And even Asmongold gets it. Now take a listen to this clip here, and we're kind of blowing through some things pretty quickly here right off the rip, but I want to really kind of nail this before we get into stuff. This is Asmongold. Asmongold lambasts right-wing politicians for being too pro-Israel. Now, I won't read the quote because we'll just watch the clip. But you can see here in this photo, this is Governor Greg Abbott, I believe, Mr. Hot Wheels. You have one American flag here and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 pro-Israel images, all in a 1-by-1 square photo taken of a politician from Texas. Make that make sense. But let's go ahead and play this clip. As in, go ahead and rip it.
And this is the thing to me, right? I see this and I think to myself, why the fuck would I vote for this retard? Why would I vote for this guy? And this is, by the way, this is my governor right here, Greg Abbott. Why would I vote for this fucking retard whenever you have 2 Israeli flags, 3 Israeli flags, 3 things I stand with Israel, and only 1 American flag? I'm sorry, guys, but that's just not for me. That's not for me. I'm an American. I'm a Texan. These should be Texas flags. That should stay the same. And this should say, I stand with, I don't know, ICE, the police, firefighters, first responders, something like that. Anything except for Israel, right? Grippers are taking power. Well, I don't think that necessarily not wanting to not wanting to have 6 reminders inside of one frame that your country is being occupied by another country is not being a groyper. That's being an American.
And one thing I'll say here too, before we get back to the rest of the video, what I've seen from individuals like Chrissy Meyer and Cam Higbee and a lot of these other, for lack of better words, fake conservatives. So you can probably find some term to put in there, like, libertarians masquerading as conservatives. We need to find a better term that kind of catches all these individuals, right? Whether, they range from James Lindsay all the way to Chrissy Meyer. They're in the right wing, but in the mainstream, but they're really not actually conservatives. And they're making this push that, what did I notice? What was the similarity between New Jersey and Virginia and New York? Oh, they didn't have voter ID. You could vote without an ID. And it's like, they're trying to find anything to hang the hat on that is not Israel, when everyone knows it's Israel. This is dangerous for multiple reasons, but the largest being even for their own interests, which is, you have got to be honest. If you seriously want to win, you would have to at least be honest about that. Pointing to voter ID and finding literally anything else. Rhino, yeah. But like finding literally anything else to point that at is like, they've entirely lost the plot. And we are now in a full-blown America first versus Israel first civil war. And it's happening on multiple levels. Now it's been happening in the Magus crowd, online on X for couple of years now, even pre Donald Trump being elected, even pre like his golden age of the campaign. But now it's reached the highest levels, and what we're watching is a very public happening of this in the Heritage Foundation. And we have some clips I'll pull from that. You can hear some of these questions being asked and Kevin Roberts being grilled, but some wild moments in there, because even he had some of his chief of staff come up and try to basically kind of defend him. And they're just being lambasted. There's like these ridiculous back and forths. And we'll get into that. Rerum Novarum, the Telegram group, the Telegram chat, or whatever you say. It's how I got wind of that. So I watched it as soon as it was posted. Unbelievable. I put it in the Discord too for anybody who wants to watch it in full. But to go back to this Asmongold clip, let Asmon cook.
This isn't Nick Fuentes. This is common sense. So the right is there are 2 factions inside of right-wing politics right now. There are America First conservatives, and there are international traditional, neocon Israel, like lobbyist people, right? Like there are 2 groups of people here. And the infighting is why they're losing. They're losing because they're infighting. The reality, though, is that, again, the Israel issue is the Republican trans issue. I think 80%, a huge amount of voters are demoralized, completely fucking demoralized by the fact that they have politicians playing like kowtowing and playing patty cake with Israel constantly. It's a massive thing.
And it's probably the best way to analogize it. I think that's maybe the right word I'm looking for. But yeah, the right wing's trans issue. That's basically what it is. It's the one thing that's preventing the party. Well, there's a few things, but that being the large leader of it, that's preventing, unity. And it is demoralizing. Too, like, you got to think as well, like, with all of these efforts, right, in pop culture or politics becoming pop culture, ever since COVID, with kind of just the weirdness that's been going on, still last election, you had less than half the country voting. I believe it was like 47%. Which is where you get the claims from of like, Trump didn't have a majority or yada, yada, yada. People are demoralized. Even leading up to this last election, it took everything inside of me to not tell everybody in my audience to not go vote. And because that's how demoralized I am, right? But I was more so in the accelerationist mindset at that point. It's got to stop. Otherwise we lose everything. Otherwise, every ounce of momentum that's been gained, all of the changing of the guard, it's over. And it's nice to see Zebman here. I appreciate you, brother. And they just refused in every single step of the way. And so what was really disappointing is the White House literally was posting copium on the timeline. I'm not even joking with you. From Rerum Navarum, right? And this is a good Telegram chat. If you guys ever want to be in the know and follow up to date, these guys are pretty good. But this is what the White House account posts. It in the as the dust settles, as Zohran Mamdani takes over New York, and on top of that, it's being reported that 1 million people are leaving New York City because of him winning. Additionally, you have New Jersey losing after Trump even fully endorsed Jack Chiata. He lost. Then you have Abigail Spanberger, a disgusting, vile, I don't want to go too far, but, also being the endorser of Jay Jones, who is disgusting and vile, winning both of their elections. At the same time, Prop 50, if you look at that California map, there's not even going to be the similar map here before too long, because they're voting in California right now on Prop 50 that if they do get the redistricting, man, I can't talk today, it's going to swing things heavily in Democrats' favor. And this is what the White House is posting. I'm left with few words to be able to expand upon this. I mean, this isn't helping, and the only reason that you're losing is it's all your fault. You have no one to blame but yourself. And I thought Nick had said this the best. This is just like a few streams ago. You have the most willing, ready, and hungry generation of conservative youth in decades, and you can't get them to vote for you. What are you doing wrong that's not bringing them to the polls? And we know what it is. It's the similar issues. It's the JQ, it's the WQ, and it's race. It's the same things that they refuse to talk to, to put out openly and be boastful about and be proud to be supporting them. Not in these what's the word? Not in these weird backhanded ways where they're kind of they'll nod to it but not be really open about it. It's just pathetic. But Zohran Mamdani won the election in New York City. He won pretty handedly as well. I believe they called it when it was 90% of the votes were in. It was decently close for a hot minute, but as they started pouring in there towards the end, it was clear Zohran was pulling away. And now you have these tweets like this going viral, which is literally 0 men in this pic were named Zohran Mamdani, which is true. And they just continually quote over and over and over again all these older photos of what it used to look like here in America before we got absolutely graped to death by legal and illegal immigration. And that's kind of the key idea here, which is this is what the return to tradition, whatever you want to say, this resurgence of white identity and recognition and realizing who we once were. The idea is very obvious. It's George Washington didn't, Thomas Jefferson's kind of a heretic. But the majority of the founding fathers, they didn't die. They didn't die so Zohran could win a mayor at all. They just didn't. That is not what at all what they died for. And that's kind of the idea here. What is an American? And it's being challenged left and right. And even as, again, once the dust settled, Vivek wanted to come out and we're going to watch this retarded Vivek video. It pissed me off so much. Vivek comes out and he's like, and let me tell you guys, why I think the Republicans lost. And it's you got here, you got here on a boat a year ago, brother. Shut up. Can you exit off stage center left? From House here, it says, we knew he was bad on Israel, but now he isn't. But now he isn't even an economic populist or nationalist in foreign policy. He's on pace to deport only 4% of illegals. So what's left to support? True. There's nothing. I mean, there literally is nothing. And House had some posts in there earlier, and I saw some on X as well too, but he's talking about things that don't matter. It's like he has been entirely, and again, we knew this when he had Susie Wiles as his chief of staff, but he is entirely insulated once again from what is actually happening. This is, the first term happening all over again. Now at this point, it's the first, you can kind of look back, hindsight's 2020, but it is similar things are happening, which is you have Susie Wiles, who is this absolute extreme pro-Israel nut job, being the chief of staff, which means she is largely in charge of who is allowed to get close to Trump. She's the organizer. She's the facilitator. And here we are once again, Trump's on True Social talking about Bill Gates' latest invention and the voting over here, and it's we're losing the country, right? The midterms, we're looking like we're going to lose pretty handedly. And there's a Polymarket poll that came out they're putting out a play market poll, but the play market poll and the betting odds right now as it sits does have that the Democrats will retake the House in 2026. A 70% chance right now is what the betting market says. And to think, like, the people who voted for Zohran wouldn't be here had you done mass deportations, right? Like, had you done the mass deportations you promised, the people who voted for Zohran wouldn't have been able to be there to vote because they would have been on a boat back in Nigeria. So, who's really to blame here? And then what they're going to do, again, and this was what bothers me as well, the Republicans come out here, like the Cam Higbees and all of these, again, these pro-Zionists, just like people, and they come out here and they're going to be like, well, you need to go out and vote harder. Like, and I'm sure these women are going to come out here and be like, man, it looks like the men didn't come out and vote. Like, what's wrong with men? And it's like, they're not going to go out and vote for something they hate. So the biggest point here, and I think I kind of nailed it in a video I made months ago, and I think I covered it on stream as well too, when the video began circulating. But this is Evan Kilgore, and he says, for the record, Zohran Mamdani won 6 months ago when he said he wasn't going to visit Israel. Good night. Truth. Yes. True. I mean, that video, and I wish I had it on hand just to show you a little bit, or just put it back up on screen, but that video, like, lives in my head rent-free. And it lives in my head rent-free because seemingly people had only seen, like, the shorter version of it, but I had caught the longer version of it where it shows from beginning to end, right? I think there was like 11. It was a Democratic primary, but I think there's 11 people in there total who are all giving their, opinions during all these questions and discussion and whatnot. And like from left to right, they go down the room. Every single person in there. Where would your first visit be as mayor of New York City? Oh, I would go to Israel. What does that have? What does it have to do with New York City? They go to the next person. Oh, I would take my second, third, and fourth trips to Israel. What? They go down the line. They get to this black guy. The black guy goes, I'll go to Jamaica. They're totally fine with it. They're like, oh wow, okay, that makes sense. They go to Zohran, and he's like, I think my first trip would just be to stay here in New York and travel around the boroughs, and really get a hands feel. Immediately, it was like the same way the Heritage Foundation is acting about Kevin Roberts' statement is how they acted about Zohran saying that. Immediately, everybody in the room, it was like somebody dropped a nuclear bomb somewhere. Energy in the room completely changes. Everyone's going, did he just say he wants to harm all Jews? And it's like, mind blowing. But that video circulated and went viral, and I would pin as being largely the primary reason for why Zohran won the election. People are becoming single issue voters in this country, and I'm voting only for the candidate that does not have pro-Israel in their bio. That is what this country is becoming. The Republican Party can run from it as much as they want. They will continue to lose elections and humiliate themselves for it. J.D. Vance has got to, in some way, get back some level of credibility, and he didn't. He missed again with another statement he put out today. Unity this, unity that. And it's like, JD, no one is going to unify with you because we don't hold the same positions. You and I are not the same. It's like JD Vance is like the color red, right? It's like you're this red and we're crimson. We're not the same. We might be so close to each other, similar sides, not even close to the same thing. Thank you very much for the super chats from Nathan James. And Nathan James 6454 says that Youngkin did nothing outside of cultural battles in Virginia. I've seen illegals grow and neighbors replace 5 foreigners. Sears made sure to go to Israel. And that's the thing too. On top of it all, so the contender against Abigail Spanberger goes by, and she's a black woman who is holding an assault rifle. She's everything that's awful about the Republican Party. She was also at some point like a never Trumper. Her name is like Winsome Earl Sears is her name. And I'm going to be honest, she also sounds dumb when she speaks. And this isn't me trying to be mean at all. I mean, like, she just sounds like everything she says was she practiced with her staffers for hours. Nothing authentic about her. But it was also because of the fact that despite everything going on between Jay Jones and Abigail Spanberger and all these messages being leaked, and it's like, wow, the worst thing ever, Trump still didn't endorse her because, quote, he didn't even see a point in it, because even earlier, it was like a couple weeks ago, Spanberger was being favored by double-digit points. And that's also the other thing to look at, because in both of the governor races, the Democrat won by double digits. I'm talking like 55 to 43%. Or I think the one was like 61 to like 38%. I mean, it's like they're getting slammed. Like the Republicans aren't even being competitive. They're getting slammed. It is just like, yep, let's just keep winning. Let's keep ignoring things. Now, the next thing with this to pay attention to is that 84% of Gen Z women voted for Mamdani. So take a look at this. This is from Europa.com. 84% of Gen Z women voted for Zohran Mamdani, making them the most one-sided demographic in the election. Take a look at this. That is insane. Insane. And do you see that? Do you see how 84 plus 12, what is that, 96? So you only have 4% of women under the age of 30 voting red in the New York mayoral candidate. I mean, the city, it's gone. It has been taken. And quite frankly, what this has now become a catalyst for people to push the repeal of the 19th Amendment, which I'm 100% in support of. But man, and even if you look at that, right, look as it goes down. As the women age up, the Republican Party barely moves, they just become independent. Like this idea that the Republican Party, like just think about that. Look how little there's anything at all for Republican women in New York, no matter whether they're 18 to 20 or they're 30 to 44 or 45 to 64 or 65 plus. Even 65 plus in New York, nothing. 12% at that. I mean, that's less than 12%. It has to be. Yeah, 8% is what it looks like. So think about that. Think about the fact that the Republican Party has basically capped themselves at the knees for white men's support to garner a single-digit percentage for women in blue. I mean, like, what a absolute abysmal failure. This is, dude, they deserve every single element of this, every single part of it. This is exactly what you get when you abandon your base to try to appease the margins. And especially at the cost of that too, trying to appease the margins to such a degree that you lose 30% of your male base to appease 4% of a female base that is here only tangentially until you slightly mess up a word, or maybe Paul Ingracia says he's got a Nazi streak in him, and the next thing you know, she's voting for nons again. It's so stupid, man. It's so stupid, and it's all because the GOP in the leadership just are massive fucking liars. They just lie, and forgive the language, but they are they major fucking liars. The audacity to be this disgusting of people, it will not, it will never not surprise me. But Joel Webman did not miss an opportunity to point that out, though. It's time, because look at this, because it wasn't just Mamdani. So these numbers are different, because the one we were just looking at was from, I believe, CNN. We're looking at NBC's exit polls. But young women, so 81% for Mamdani in New York City, 80% for Cheryl in New Jersey, who beat Jack Chiata, who was, when the last I read, was projected to win, and then 78% for Spanberger in Virginia. So where did all, it's like, it's that Thanos scene, right? So, where did all that pandering lead you? Back to me. Like, what was it for? What was it for? And this is the point. We have the Republican Party right where we want them. Their pants are down. They're flailing in the midterms. It's looking like the Republicans are about to absolutely, for one, have done nothing with the time that they've had the power. Going to now lose the House. We're going to lose a lot of stuff in the midterms. And you think, well, I mean, and this is what I was saying actually about a year ago. This is going to open it up for J.D. Vance to be more of a fake individual, and I know he will. This opens it up now for J.D. Vance to come in and go, here's what I thought Trump did wrong. Going right back to the never Trumper he once was before he was basically boosted through with this Trump presidency. Because what else would he have? Is he going to say we need to run on Trump's platform again? We just didn't do it right? No. So he probably will. He's going to, for JD Vance, the most politically expedient thing for him to do would be to maybe not fully go against Trump, but to position himself, he'll have to. This presidency is a failure. I don't know how else MAGA, I mean, whatever is left of MAGA by the time we get there, right? There's no point even in appealing to that group anymore because it's not going to exist. The balkanization has begun. The civil war inside the Republican Party is fully on. I can hear the gunfire. The smoke is over there somewhere. It's happening. So, like I had said earlier, there's an exodus coming out of New York City as well, stemming from Zohran Mamdani winning this election. And so what you're getting from the leading report is that Florida and Texas is expected to see soaring real estate prices as New York City sees the exodus of up to 1 million people. And I never really kind of understood that either. I kind of get Florida. I don't know if Texas is the same way, but I'm pretty sure Florida, everybody moves there. I know for Ohio, it's like the biggest place people move from Ohio to go live and retire at. But I think it's probably to do with the income tax stuff. Maybe that's why people move to Florida. But yeah, not looking good for New York City. So, and those million people I wouldn't imagine that the million people who are fleeing New York City are all people who happily voted for Zohran Mamdani. So what does that do? It just further expedites the disparity, and it's going to homogenize New York City even more than what it already is to being extremely progressive and being, more of a shithole than it already is. And that's what people are saying, right? I don't know if Marami would do back because he's not bought by Israel. Put that up here from Ronnie. But that's the thing is, I'm like, I don't know, because he's got a bajillion photo shoots with, the Chabad. Like he's doing all these tours with all of these Jewish people, right? And so this whole idea that he's like, this extreme radicalist Islamist is not true. Like I'm sure he's a Muslim, right? But the idea that he's any semblance of like what you would expect to see from Al Qaeda or ISIS is just it's insane. But again, it's all they have left, right? It's all that they have left is the fear mongering, because they can't win on the actual grounds of their ideas because the people don't want Israel. So it is what it is, I guess. And then here's the election results breakdown. So we're going to take a look here. This is from CNN. Is this the right one? Yes, it is. Okay, so this is from CNN. I'm going to make it a bit bigger because this is what I really want to drive it home here for you. And so you can see here as well, too, right? Whites, Cuomo had the edge on white people by 1%. Okay, so it's not much of a hard split there amongst white people because, again, there is a dichotomy between like the white liberal phenotype and the normal white phenotype, right? But take a look at this. Where's it at? 18 to 29. So you can see the change here. 18 to 29, 78% Mamdani, 18% Cuomo. And that's across gender. 30 to 44, 66% to Mamdani, and only 28% to Cuomo. Now here you get to 45 to 64, you start to get that split. And you can just track this, going by age here again. That was among the four. 18 to 24, even a further split, 77%, 25 to 29, 78%, 30 to 39, 69%, 40 to 49, 50%. Let's go by race. 66% white voters, 18 to 29. 67% white voters, 30 to 44. And then white voters, finally, Cuomo edges out, but only in a 10%. I mean, Mamdani has these major splits here on these ones. And then they're close as they get older. I mean, Mamdani was handedly won across these age categories. How do I make the graph move? There we go. And then look at black voters as well. No, this was what kind of threw me off. Black voters for Cuomo over the age of 65, Cuomo actually beat out Mamdani. I like that. That didn't kind of make much sense to me. But the point being here is even if you look at men, it heavily favored men for Mamdani as well. And it changes. It keeps cutting off at the same point, right? Once you get to a certain age. And that is to show you guys that there's a strong And I'm going to say, I'm going to use that as strong circumstantial evidence to point once again at the fact that there is a huge disparity between the youth, between the bottom two generations and the top generations, between like the older boomers and the baby boomers, or whatever the delineations are there. Gen X, forgive me, Gen X and boomers versus millennials and Gen Z. And that's to show you like the post-war consensus is fading. The Holocaust humiliation ritual is like, the expiration date's coming up, expires soon. Like, I don't know when that is, but it's coming up. And I don't get why they refuse to acknowledge it. I don't understand. But it's clear. And this is what the whole conversation has been with Israel. This is why they're pulling out all of the stops. This is why no matter where you look, you cannot escape it. Is because millions of dollars being poured into advertising, whether it's from Google, whether it's from YouTube, whether it's on X, whether it's random French companies. Because they know the reason why your supposed America first, I care about Americans, Tim Pool and others, right? Attending these private meetings. All because, right, Deborah Leah, Emily Austin, CJ Pearson, right? You could just go down the Brandon Tatum holding these super public. Well, the one was secret and private. I think there's been two of the private ones, but there's these public ones, all because they know the pro-Israel support is gone in 5 to 10 years. And this is what people have been saying. And this has been the saddest thing about this. This is what I was told like literally 2 years ago by somebody who was a bit more in the know at this point than I was. They said the country won't even change until boomers start dying. That is depressing. We basically have to wait for what's the word? All of the people who were one-shotted by propaganda to no longer be with us because they're so locked into what their voting patterns are. It's sad stuff, man. It really is. And women as well. I mean, that's a whole other conversation to be had. But I mean, everybody probably already knows my opinion. Oh, Dadsky, you have to upload a government ID. Yeah, don't worry about it, man. Don't dox yourself. But where does the Republican Party go from here? There's no way in good faith you can continually to just like bury your head in the sand and keep on keeping on without absolute humility. And I don't think JD Vance is going to be able to. If JD Vance's entire life goal since for the last 10 years has been to be president one day, he's got to start be thinking now, right? Like, do I bail water or do I get off the ship? And I look at him as just like a political, swamp creature, a creation, if you will, right? The Manchurian candidate. Very similar to Obama. Expect it. Any day, a statement from JD Vance that's going to be contradictory or contentious towards Trump is coming. He will begin to take advantage of that ability, that leverage that Trump is giving by being such an abysmal failure, along with his entire administration. And Owen Choi had a great tweet too. It's like, we don't get deportations, we don't get the Epstein files, we don't get deep state arrests, and all we get is constantly lying to and pro-Israel content. It's like, yeah, this is why you lost. And it's just wild, man, because it shows, and I think it shows like the black voter with Cuomo still winning out. I think it shows that it's not even, it's much less about the race. It's much more, again, about the pro-Zionism being a cancer in our political system. Nobody wants it. Nobody but the politicians, I guess, and the Brazilians. And so, oh, thank you, House. I appreciate that ID test. Thank you very much, House. I appreciate that greatly. I feel bad. House is always dropping 20s to make sure stuff still works. No, I don't want to get one of those moments again. Don't feel like you all got to start slamming chats in here. Although I do appreciate it greatly, House. Thank you. But to go to Trump's approval rating. This is Dominic Michael Trippy. All good. You didn't need one. Cool. Yeah, Dadsky, what are you doing? What content are you watching, Dadsky, that YouTube thinks you're underage? I'm trolling. Let me put you on the spot, man. This is Dominic Michael Trippy. President Trump reaches net approval rating of negative 55 among voters under the age of 30, falling a drastic 63 points from a February high of plus 8, according to economists and YouGov data. Would you look at that? Would you look at that? Because that was the golden age started. I think the golden age started in January and it ended in February. Golden age over. Oh, it was already over? Because that's basically when it started. We basically got Trump. He had the one day where he was like signing all these executive orders. And then the next day he went to Israel and touched the wall and it was over. And then we bombed Iran and then everybody started getting lied to. And then Pam Bondi said the files were on her desk. Then they weren't. And then we had truckloads of files. And then we didn't. And then James O'Keefe was highlighting this stuff. And then he wasn't. 63 points. Now, I do have The Economist. We can look at a bit more of an interactive one here. Because I wanted to find somebody that was a little bit different, but it shows very, very similar things. And that is messed up, Dadsky. I looked into that stuff and they're going to start doing it. And the reason is so YouTube AI is really just Gemini. So that's what YouTube embedded Gemini AI into their system. And they use it now too, not just to monitor you guys, but when I make thumbnails and I use photos in my video, they have Gemini AI scan my stuff and then they'll match it to top Google search results from words in the transcript. So if they look up Zohran Mamdani and the first Google photo that pops up in the images is the one that I'm using in my thumbnail or is in in the video somewhere, it will uprank your video. It gets a little bit deeper to that, but that's like the AI. And then additionally, like with Dadsky here, that AI is basically, it's said from whatever you've looked at, or they say the reasoning is like to detect if people are lying about their age, but make of that what you will. So here's The Economist tracking the presidency, and the graph there is kind of it's kind of a little wild. But here we are. The president's net approval rating is negative 18%. It is down 0.1 point since last week. 39% approve, 58% disapprove, and 4% not sure. And so here we have it. This is the interactive graph here. You can see it on screen. And this is just brutal. Brutal. And brutal because you see who else's approval ratings on here? You see who else's approval ratings on this graph? That's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's crazy that Biden had a higher approval rating. That's crazy to me. I didn't even notice that until I looked at that just now. But we can look down here too as well. And you can see it, right? It's the inflation, it's the economy, it's immigration, it's national security. And I had it here somewhere, at least I thought. Look at this graph. And dude, get this stupid ad out of the way. Do you see any parties above the approval threshold line? Dude, literally every demographic is under the line. It's crazy. Now, obviously, the worst group here is black. The overall black demographic racial group is like close to a negative 75% disapproval. It's a range there. Females, obviously, much more than males. But then here you see under 30. Negative 50. Now it's matching these other notably like liberal demographics, right? The black post-grad, right? Which is like the advanced degrees, which is typically very, very liberal people, Hispanic and other, and there's under 30. But under 30 isn't a typical Democrat, man, Lord forgive me, demographic. Donald Trump lost to you. Hey man, no, you're not my dad. Yeah, I love that. I love that clip. It's sad, man. It's depressing. It kind of blew me away because like I felt like that would have been more news. But maybe I'm expecting a little too much from people I follow like Jack Posobiec and others to maybe report basic news beyond repeating the same tweet over and over again. Dude, I saw him do it the other day. I saw a leftist assassinate Charlie and celebrate it. Dude, he's posted it like 4,000 times since the day it's happened. Then he went on TPUSA and with Brandon Tatum, and they're just, dude, they're just, it's so aggressive, dude. It is. Yeah, fire up some other ways for you guys to donate. Yeah, that is. I think actually I was talking to you about that a little bit ago. I am going to be looking at. I think it's like Power Chat. I'm going to look into what the Backlash uses too. I know Dadsky sent me one that was built out by somebody. And there's also somebody we're talking to with NAV that can do it as well. But that is something I plan on doing too. I do appreciate the recommendation. What else did I have for the Donald Trump approval rating? That was basically it, just to make sure that you guys knew that, because, you know, if you're listening to any MAGA, they'll probably just tell you it's all fake. No one disapproves of Trump. It's just all of those Democrats, all of those liberals, it's all of those Muslims, it's all of those Islamists. You put screen grabs in the Discord? Okay. I appreciate that. Well, I don't want to you want me to put it on screen, I guess? I'll look at it at least. I'll look at off screen first before I put it on screen. But it probably is exactly what I'm thinking of, which is the age verification stuff, which I think you said in there. Let me find it. Give a boomer a second. That's wild. Yeah. I won't put it on screen because I want to make sure I don't dox any information out on your desk. But it does literally say, your transaction cannot be completed. To proceed, please submit the required documents by completing this form. That's crazy. Yeah, verify your account. So you do need a government-issued ID or a utility bill. Dads could just send in a utility bill. That's funny. No, I appreciate that, though. Thank you. It looks like it's going to start happening. And my fear was exactly that, which was, I don't think it's really to make sure that kids are doing it. I think it's to dampen and attack people whose opinions they don't like, which we all saw that coming. And forgive me, I need to stop leaning against the desk. That's what's making it tap the microphone, I realize. But let's go to JD Vance. What did JD Vance, what copium did JD Vance put on screen? Or post out this earlier today? It was lovely. It was lovely. And I'm going to read this statement so you guys can absorb it in here with me too. This is what JD Vance had to say about about losing all these marquee elections. Very, very public humiliation of the Republican Party. I think it's idiotic to overreact to a couple of elections in blue states, but a few thoughts. 1. Scott Pressler, TPUSA, and a bunch of others have been working hard to register voters. I said it in 2022, and I've said it repeatedly since. Our coalition is lower propensity. Man, I couldn't. Dude, I'm getting as bad as my old co-host. And that means we have to do better at turning out voters than we have in the past. We need to focus on the home front. The president has done a lot that was already laid off in lower interest rates and lower inflation. But we inherited a disaster from Joe Biden, and Rome wasn't built in a day. We're going to keep on working to make a decent life affordable in this country, and that's the metric by which we'll ultimately be judged in 2026 and beyond. Is this channel pro-Israel? Get the fuck out of here. I like the profile pics, by the way. Is 3. The infighting is stupid. I care about my fellow citizens, particularly young Americans, being able to afford a decent life. I care about immigration and our sovereignty, and I care about establishing peace overseas so our resources can be focused at home. If you care about those things too, let's work together. I can't do this anymore. I'm so tired of, and the price haven't gone down. That's the thing, is like, I'm pretty sure everyone agrees on the inflation metrics. It's like the economy has basically kind of been stuck in a stasis. It's not getting much better, but it really isn't getting much worse. And then we have over here, the infighting is stupid. Really? The entitlement, once again, to continue to wield and be in office and yet refuse to represent the people, when we've just shown the approval rating tanking, when we see that we've just lost marquee elections by double digits, lost an election to Abigail Spanberger and Jay Jones. That's not, you lost an election to a guy who said he wanted to make He wanted to make then, I think the Speaker of the House then in the state, make his wife watch their children die. That's who just won Attorney General in Virginia. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. Not a big deal at all. And and while we're at it, you know what we should also do? Hike up a smear campaign against Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. And how about we tone police everybody on the right all at the same time? Why don't we help Gavin Wax and orchestrate publishing text messages so we can get some of our youth who are some of the energy of this movement? But why don't we expose them and get them out? Why don't we get Paul Ingracia, maybe one of the most based individuals who would have been getting confirmed by the Senate? Why don't we leak his text as well? We'll get him out. And you know what? Why don't we just let women do everything? Why doesn't J.D. Vance step down? Why doesn't Usher take his VP slot? You know what? Why doesn't Donald Trump just give? Do you know what Donald Trump should do? He should hold a lottery and give his presidency to a random black person. Well, we need to find any way at this point now that we can appease the same minority demographics that aren't the base of this side of the aisle. Yes, it is a huge deal. If Republicans can't win against Jay Jones, you can't win anywhere, period. And that is a marker of extreme defeat. Extreme defeat. Jay Jones won not by double-digit percentage, but the fact that he won by 7-8%, the fact that it was close, the fact that people went out and voted for the guy despite all of that. So yeah, Blue Wave 2028. We are Gavin Newsom stands here. Joe Biden, please. I mean, hey, what do you make of this, right? Here. Let me go to this. This is a bit of a pushback here. Senator Delta says, I agree with him. What election did they lose? The Virginia election. That's really it. I don't understand why everyone is acting like it's a blue wave. Because is that it? Is that the only election they lost, Senator Delta? It wasn't the mayoral race in New York City. It wasn't also the Minneapolis mayoral race. Who guess what? Let me go to this real quick. Let me go find this. Do I have this here? Where is this at? Where is this at? Ready? Good news. Jacob Frey, he beat the Somalian. You know what the bad news is? This is also Jacob Frey.
Somalia hanolato!
Dude. Dude. This is the most cuck shit I've ever seen in my life. What? He's wearing I Love Somalia? And what's crazy is he beat this guy. But it doesn't matter because they both love Somalia. And there's 2 governor races that we just lost. And on top of it, Prop 50 in California looks like it's going to pass. And now let me look at this. Let me look at this here. You know what Polymarket says right now, Extended Delta? 70% chance of the Democrats winning the House in 2026. That's the betting market right now. NYC mayoral was not Dem versus Dem. It was Cuomo versus Mamdani versus Sawali. Sawali was the Republican running. But Sawali didn't stand a chance because Republicans have lost New York City entirely. And the crazy thing is, too, Republican women voted for Cuomo over Sawali. Let's go back. Let's go back. Let's pull that up. I looked at this earlier. Where's that data at? Give me that stupid data. Look at this. Look at this. Look at this. See? Red. Sliwa. A Republican was there, but he didn't offer nothing. Probably because he loves Israel. Where are we at? Let's see the breakdown here. Where's the split? Do you see this? Somewhat conservative, very conservative. See the split there? Overwhelmingly voted for Cuomo. A Republican got outvoted by conservatives for a guy who recently just switched to independents who killed a lot of people during COVID. And the winning strategy is to what? Is it Silva? I don't know. I don't know, dude. You guys are relevant anyways. All right. You got me. My English isn't the best. I had to learn English from Myron because he could only help me with, recovering from my Sudanese. Like, I'm running out of ideas of what to tell people besides like, maybe listen to the base. Maybe abandon every single one of your positions because they're making us lose. And the thing is too, is who do the Republicans campaign for? Cuomo. Was it Emily Austin who did the, Hot Girls for Cuomo? You have, they had the other one. It might have been Deborah. I confuse all of them at this point. They all look the same. Literally slutting themselves out, posting photos of themselves in New York City. Hot Girls for Cuomo. You slutted yourself out for a loser or nothing. Shame. Never e-girls, not even once. And not to pick on your extended Delta. I mean, I appreciate the pushback, but I mean, like, this is the point. Like, the Republican messaging is nauseous. It makes it so people would rather go, you know what? Who cares if the country burns? I just can't do it. Really? Is it that hard to be pro-America? Is it really that hard to install, actual real conservative ideology? Is it that hard? Apparently it is. Kevin Roberts is on his way out of the Heritage Foundation. And that's where the next kind of featured story is going to go. We're going to move into that. I think that's the next one, right? Yes, it is the next one. Okay, man. So let's take a big, long look at Kevin Roberts. And this is not going to be fun at all. This was the extension of the humiliation ritual. So Nick Fuentes covered this yesterday. And I had missed this entirely, so I don't know if it had happened before I'd done my show prep. But the anti-Semitism task force, that is, I don't know if it's a co-chair or if they're partners or if they're like, I don't know what this. The way it reads is like they're underneath them. But regardless, the co-chairs of them emailed a list of demand, essentially an ultimatum, to Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts. And now this is, we are now multiple days, I think we're 4 or 5 days now into a humiliation and smear campaign and an attack against Kevin Roberts for a 3-minute video where he refused to disavow Tucker. But he did abhor Nick Fuentes. He did put out statements that he did abhor Nick Fuentes. He put out an extended statement about how, going into extreme detail about what he does abhor about Nick Fuentes. And so what did they list out for him? What did they list out for them? Well, the list of demands started with the fact that they wanted them to remove the video. Struggle session, correct. And we're going to cover some of the struggle session that got leaked to the media again today. The first demand, remove the video. Second demand, apologize, which, like he's not been already. The third, condemn anti-Semitism, which, again, like he's not already. The fourth, hold a conference about groypers. Or I think the way they worded the rising, the surging voices on the right, the far fringes of the right. Number 5, hire a Gen Z whisperer. Basically, copy Israel's policy. And then the last one, which is actually causing some of the tensions, hold a Shabbat dinner to air out more of these grievances. So we're in the middle of Kevin Roberts basically being ripped to shreds, publicly humiliated. And this is it's happening very publicly, I think, for a reason. I don't find these leaks to the press to be, wow, where are they coming from? Like, it's obvious. They want Kevin Roberts to feel maximum pressure. Like, the leaks aren't from somebody who's like wanting to, it's coming from people who want Kevin Roberts to be humiliated, which was a subject of this, And so it was, the Washington Free Beacon is who aired it on YouTube. They published the whole, I think it's like, what is it? Like 2 hours long. It's like an hour and 43 minutes long. And what was crazy was, I'm watching this. I'm about like 30 minutes into it. One of the lady speakers comes up, and her question she actually applauds Kevin Roberts. She says, I have faith in you as a leader, yada, I love you, I've known you for whatever. But she talks about, she's like, my fear here is that how many leaks we've already gotten about this situation. My fear is that we don't know who the leaker is, that there's multiple leakers, and that even this meeting is going to be leaked to the press, and we're losing our ability, our confidence to speak in private. She says, as the 2-hour interview is posted, like literally minutes after it happened to YouTube. Like, oh man. So we're gonna run through this. We're gonna run through a bit of the meeting, and we're gonna see some of these timestamps I put up from this meeting. So this is one of the first things that we got from it. From Rerum Novarum. Heritage Foundation President Kevin Roberts at an all-hands staff meeting today. I made a mistake, and I let you down, and I let down this institution. Period. Full stop. He is backpedaling. He is backpedaling so hard. Following this, we get this update. During this all-hands meeting, Evan Myers, editorial manager of Heritage, questions the demands from Jews for Heritage members to attend Shabbat dinners, claiming they will be used as a litmus test. So there might not be enough good audio here because it was super quiet, but we'll see.
Thank you, Mike. That's a hard act to follow, but you did a really...
So it's not. So I'm just going to turn it off and I'll just read it. Thank you, Mike. That's a hard act to follow. But you did a really good job. And I just want to say I'm grateful for all of our colleagues who are speaking up today, and especially for our colleagues on the National Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism. I'm especially grateful for their work. I also have a question about it. Given some of the leaks that... Is this playing in like... Dude, he's like talking fast, bro. I can't keep up. I also have a question about it. Given some of the leaks that occurred yesterday, right now, the National Task Force to Combat Anti-Semitism is demanding that Heritage House Shabbat dinners with Heritage interns and junior staff. The faith of many Christians here at Heritage, myself included, would prevent us from attending these dinners in good conscience. As you know, for many Christians, Friday is a special day of prayer and abstinence to commemorate the death of Christ. I assume that no staff will be required to attend the Shabbat dinners, but my concern is that these dinners will be served as a sort of informal litmus test, and I'm worried that they will hurt many Christians who are not anti-Semitic, but don't feel comfortable attending a Shabbat dinner. I would like to know how you guys would respond to that concern, and how we can be sure that the dinners won't be used that way when the people requesting them or someone has already been leaking them to the media. Oh, could you hear it actually? Oh, dude, I should have read the comment. I'm sorry. And there you have it. Evan Myers stands up and says, Is this going to be used against me if I don't show up because I don't hold the same beliefs as you? Victoria Coates, the vice president of the Heritage Foundation, the person who is personally overseeing Project Esther, had this to say. The initiative, there it is. She fired back at Myers saying, "This is a gross mischaracterization of what was issued by the co-chairs of the Anti-Semitism Task Force yesterday, of which I am one, and might take some offense to that characterization." Coates went on, "It was made, the dinner offer, in generosity of spirit and in hopes of increased dialogue on this issue. And Evan, I'm deeply sorry that you could not see that as a generous offer, but rather a personal attack on you. It was not." Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference in response there? Do you see how the American Christian man walks on eggshells while the Jew screams in your fucking ear? Do you see how Evan Myers literally went to great lengths to word it in such a way that it was so inoffensive, it was so neutral, it was so limp-wristed, that even that, Victoria Coates goes, wow, I'm sorry that you took it personally, that you think Jews are attacking you all of a sudden. It's like, do you see why we can't tolerate this shit? Is it making sense now why millions of men across this country, even though they are rapidly having nothing to live for, still see no reason in going to vote? Maybe the one mechanism they may have even a half percentage point in meaningfulness of. And to think too, the Heritage Foundation is largely considered if not the most pivotal think tank and apparatus that kind of connects a lot of these kind of policy controls and agendas and platforms that end up going into the Republican and GOP and conservatism at large. And that's the vice president. It's like every level we are controlled. And additionally, too, you look into Victoria Coates' background, right? Who is she, right? Who is Victoria Coates? Who is this lady? Who is overseeing Project Esther? This is what Heritage Foundation says about her. Read the full bio, right? Come down here. You go, man, what's she doing? Oh, yeah. Oh, is it on this one or is it on the Wikipedia? But she was the former Deputy National Security Advisor to Trump in his first term. She was, I don't think it says it here, but she worked for Middle East Broadcasting Network. Like her specialty is the Middle East. Yeah, just the Middle East. And, so she served for Ted Cruz. She worked for Donald Rumsfeld. And, she helped, again, right there, Deputy National Advisor for the Middle East and North Africa, overseeing the maximum pressure campaign against Iran, initiating the... Yeah, Rumsfeld is a gigaboomer, dude. But his photo has aura, though, in Wikipedia, dude. He's got a crazy photo on Wikipedia. You can't. We have to get rid of it. We have to get rid of all of it. Every single element of it. It all must go. They all must go. Make it 110. Episode 110, make it 110. And you should be thanking us, because this is a non-violent path to peace. And so and then towards the end of the meeting, which I was watching at like 2 times speed, and it's getting close to the time, so only watched the first half of it. But Kevin Roberts did say he was willing to step down. Quote, "I made the mess. It is my moral obligation to clean it up." So it's like he probably wants to stay, but the pressure is not going to allow him to get there. And the full meeting was posted. And so that's what I have here for us. This is on YouTube right now. And again, from the Washington Free Beacon. And we're going to start here at the 22:04 mark. Let me find it here on the timestamp. We're going to listen to some of these naysayers, and we're going to see this is what's happening at the biggest think tank in America for conservatives. This is what they're crying about. This is their complaints against Kevin Roberts. Let me make sure the body is okay. Okay.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Robert Rector. I've worked at the Heritage Foundation for 47 years. I've been active in the conservative movement for a half a century, which is longer than most of you have been alive. And I want to start by going back to the origins of this institution, the origins of conservatism, with William F. Buckley, someone who almost none of you have ever met him. I hope you know who he was, because he founded the conservative movement in the United States. And I want to go back to his basic principle. When he set up the conservative movement in the early 1960s, and he said, you have to put boundaries around this movement. Okay, but back then it was the John Birch Society, basically. But there were not one principle, but two. The boundaries, because if you don't have boundaries on who you regard inside the movement will destroy itself, and it will create a PR nightmare for everybody in it. And the boundaries that he set forth, William Buckley, in early 1960s, were twofold. You have to expunge all anti-Semitism, all of it. But that's just part of it, from the conservative movement. The other is you have to expel the lunatics. Okay, the lunatics who think that Eisenhower was a communist, okay, and a whole bunch of, and we have them back now, okay? They are both here back just the way they were in 1959. And we have to go back and set the general parameters. You say, oh, we don't cancel. We do cancel. Did we cancel David Duke? Yes. You don't even know who David Duke was, probably most of you. I'd say, yes. Did we cancel the John Birch Society? Yes, okay? Because they were harmful, because if they're in your movement, you look like clowns, okay? And the issue here is Tucker Carlson. And I think, Mr. President, you don't understand the post-fact Fox Tucker Carlson. If you're not watching the interview with Daryl Cooper or Nick Fuentes, if you don't watch Nick Fuentes online, you don't know what's going on here. Okay? Who's there?
And just for a reminder, he's getting this pushback because he said, I'm not going to cancel Tucker. I think what Tucker is saying is divisive and hateful. And I will never platform Nick Fuentes because I abhor everything about him. That's what he said. That's getting this response. Like, it begs the question then, what would have been a good response, right? What would they have wanted from him? And it sounds like they would have wanted him to basically go full blown, like, we need sanctions against Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes. We need tariffs on America First podcast right now. Everyone's got to pay $4 to the U.S. government to listen to Nick Fuentes. Like that. Like, is that what they're pushing for? Obviously. They want the cancellation. They do not want the conversation because they know the conversation will close the door on them forever.
Daryl Cooper. Well, you need to know who Daryl Cooper.
Oh, I talked to Tucker about Daryl Cooper last year.
Okay. Well, a lot like Eisenhower being a communist there. Hold on. Okay. So with Tucker, you have both of these things. Tucker's show is like stepping into a lunatic asylum. This is Tucker, Daryl Cooper, Tucker, Nick Fuentes, and we'll talk about he's not having Nick Fuentes online. He's promoting him. Okay. And Candace Owens, so forth. Okay. So if you have someone inside the conservative movement who literally says that, oh my goodness, Hitler really didn't want World War II. He was kind of a peaceful guy. It was Winston Churchill that caused this whole thing. My God, Eisenhower is a communist. Okay. If someone is that nutty, and I know you're too young to care about, I'm a boomer. World War II is a big thing to me, but my God, if you could be that wrong about the World War II, you are wrong about everything on planet Earth.
And to think like this is largely coming from the people, right? And to repeat and quote Nick, this is coming from people who were saying, oh, how gay and fake are safe spaces. Oh, liberal tears this, like, oh, there's snowflakes, these social justice warriors. Yeah, sounding just like him now, a few years later.
Okay. And then Nick Fuentes. Okay. This guy is a neo-Nazi. He adores Hitler. He says he was a effing cool guy. Okay. Do we want him in the conservative movement? Do we want people that are adjacent to him in the conservative movement? But if you look at what Carlson did, he wasn't ventilating Nick Fuentes. He wasn't.
And think about that. Do we want them in this movement? What is that? That is gatekeeping. That is gatekeeping. It's like the mirage of that everybody wants free speech and all that is exactly that. It is a mirage. Because when push comes to shove, dude, they're going to want you to be removed from any platform at all. Especially because if you have an idea that can't be debated. If you have a winning idea, of course they'd want it. Because your idea would beat out theirs.
Telling the public about who this neo-Stalinist, vile, racist, he is the most hateful person I think I've ever seen, or potentially, allegedly on the right. Did Carlson reveal this? Did he ask him one meaningful question? No. If you were to go after this, you could find 1,000 insanely toxic things that Nick Fuentes has said, all of which Carlson not only didn't reveal, he concealed them. And if you watch that interview, when he actually gets to one point that's meaningful, and Nick Fuentes says, yeah, I've loved Stalin since I was a teenager. He's my number one guy. And
I don't know if he's Jewish.
We'll
the
talk
third
about
guy
that
we're about to listen to is.
And so he massages him. That was the most moderate interview, the most moderate presentation of Nick Fuentes I think has ever existed, all orchestrated by Tucker to mainstream.
Dude, it's just like, okay. Thank you very much, AO World Champion, for the super chat. AO World Champion says, remember Joe McCarthy went looking commies and found sodas and Jews. Yep. Yeah, I would love for our government to actually put some effort into something for once. Being meaningful, if you will. But let's go here. I'm just going to skip ahead because this guy is kind of at the end of his. The next one I have here is a girl by the name of Amy. It's like 4247. And I believe she actually also tweeted on X about freaking out that her comments have been publicized. At least one of them has. But here's the next one. This is Amy. Hers is aggressive. Her decrying is aggressive. She's just jabbing Kevin Roberts the whole time in here. But take a listen.
So thank you for that note, Tiffany. Amy.
Dr. Roberts, you've repeatedly emphasized that these all-staff meetings are the place in which we are to use radical candor within Heritage. So please allow me to be radically candid. I hope you don't mind. I also brought notes.
Yeah. No problem, Amy.
Sir, I know that you're a patriot. I know that you care very deeply about this nation. You care about this institution. We've accomplished some remarkable things under you. I also have every reason to believe you are a good and decent man, and I know that you're my brother in Christ. And yet, after all of the events of the last week, I stand here today with no ability to say I have confidence in your leadership for this institution moving forward. And I also know that that sentiment is shared by others in this room who, for reasons that I think are perfectly reasonable, especially given what we've seen this last week, are afraid to say that exact same thing openly and directly. But as you yourself have said, now is the time for courage. And Dr. Roberts, over the last week, you have shown a stunning lack of both courage and judgment. There's nothing ambiguous about what we saw happen. Tucker Carlson invited a Holocaust-denying neo-Nazi onto his show and then spent roughly 2 hours doing little more than flirting with him. And when our friends and allies on the right, staunch conservatives, rightly and reasonably criticized Tucker for throwing softball questions at a Hitler apologist, we had options at that point. We could have, and in my opinion, should have, joined them. We could have led from the front and lovingly rebuked our ally. Loving rebuke is an action that, respectfully, even Helen Keller could see is not the same thing.
That's the part I was waiting for. Lovingly rebuked. Yeah, she is on her knee. Dude, lovingly rebuke as like, as he gave basically the weakest statement of all time about just basically like, I would like to not cancel my friend Tucker. I agree with you on everything else. And they're in here like she's like, you know what? I just had to like weeping, dude. Like it's the greatest tragedy of all time. And let me go back a little bit. I don't want to miss one because she said something about Helen Keller in here, dude. This is like she's uppercutting, bro. Like punching.
Lovingly rebuked our ally. Loving rebuke is an action that, respectfully, even Helen Keller could see is not the same thing as participating in cancel culture. We also
Do you get that? She said even Helen Keller could tell what Heritage was doing wouldn't have been considered cancel culture. Deplatforming and disavowing and denouncing Tucker Carlson what isn't cancel culture. Anyone would have been able to see that, even Helen Keller. And remember, she led this whole thing with, I know you're my brother in Christ. I did.
could have just said nothing at all. Instead, we managed to scrape together an initial response that, at best, was equal parts incoherent, unhelpful, and naive. At worst, as others have referenced, it was more akin to a masterclass in cowardice that ran cover for the most unhinged dregs of the far right. The next 4 days, I think, for me, were even more worrying, because you appeared to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge any real semblance of accountability. Nothing about that seemed to indicate you really wanted the buck to stop with you. It seemed at first as though you wanted the buck to stop with your chief of staff, and only after it became clear that Ryan falling on his sword would be insufficient to quell the outrage both inside and outside of this building, did we finally see you manage the courage to utter the words, "I made a mistake." And quite frankly, even if you had managed to say that 4 hours after that video, it would have been a weak response. But sir, it took you 4 days to say that.
It's right there. That's all you need. She just admitted right now, there's nothing you can do. There's no amount of groveling that you can do, Kevin Roberts. It won't be good enough. You could strip yourself naked, tar yourself and feather yourself and roll on the ground in a pile of mud and slap yourself on the ass and they will still be spitting on you. And quite frankly, I'm cheering it on. I am cheering it on. Kevin Roberts, just like the GOP, just like Donald Trump, just like the entire Trump administration, you deserve every bit of what is coming your way. You are a coward, not for putting out a statement. You are a coward for one, adhering to Israel first, policies. It's supposed to be an American company. But secondly, for backpedaling when you did what you knew was right the first time. And even what you did the first time was like, okay, it's like decent. Like, I agree with that. Didn't go all the way, but it was good. You deserve this, Kevin. Now, the next one actually is a Jew. He says it. He does say it verbatim himself. This one's at 57:22. It's be the last one we listen to out of this clip before we move on. But just to show you, obviously, how bad it is for Kevin Roberts, he's not going to maintain a job for much longer. Take a listen here. What?
So I personally don't understand what support for Israel has to do with any of this. That's not what went on here. What happened is that Tucker, who I've been friends with for a long time,
never
platformed is the word, Nazi, Stalinist. I was going to say misogynist, but that's too light a word for it. Racist. And what I've had a problem with, and I agree, I think people should be judged not just on one statement, but on the totality of what they've done. And I think you've done a lot of great things. I've read your book. It's a call to action. That's important. I've listened to many things you said here. But what I don't understand is how a statement like this could bubble up from here, even if one person wrote it. You read it with passion. I've been struggling with it because I love it here. I've only been here 9 months, 8 months. I love it. And I don't understand how a statement like this can bubble up because the totality of it is not to go after this.
Can you imagine being a president of a company and then you're going to get lambasted by a guy you hired 9 months ago about how to run your company? Dude. Oh, it's so bad. It is so bad. Kevin Roberts, I promise you have 2 testicles. Just reach down, find the warm spot, feel them, believe in them, and brother, be a goddamn American man and stand up for yourself. Holy shit.
This wannabe Hitler, who now has millions of followers and many more because of Tucker, and more also because of the continuing controversy here that has kept this story alive. I'm a journalist for 5-6 days. And so I guess, you know, when I listened to Ben Shapiro yesterday and I heard that absolute moral clarity that he had, and knowing you as a moral person with Christian, I'm Jewish, I happen to be Jewish, but you don't have to be Jewish to have these feelings.
Catch it? Catch it? I caught it earlier. I put it down in my notes.
Moral person with Christian, I'm Jewish, I happen to be Jewish, but you don't have to be Jewish to have these feelings. But with, you know, I respect Christianity and the ideas that have flown from it, that have come from it, which are basically the foundation of this country. And I don't understand how.
And then he's like, yeah, and then Christianity, you know, I think it's like basically, you know, the foundation of this country or whatever. Get the fuck out of my country. That's all we need to listen to from that. It doesn't get much better. Bye, Kevin Roberts. Oh man, and more on Project Esther in a little bit because we do have a story that was sent to me by my house. It's where I saw it from. YouTube deleting videos, but we'll get to that. Yeah, that's about it for Kevin Roberts being humiliated. I shouldn't dive in too much. Obviously, it's depressing to watch your fellow white man get absolutely humiliated like this, but it's more painful for me to watch him not stand up for himself. So, you get what you asked for. Another story that had been blowing up is the TPUSA chapter in Florida. The TPUSA chapter in Florida decided to ban students over the Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes interview. So I have this here from Ospo. And so he writes, and he's got a decent sized account. I've not seen it before, but I'll give him a follow. He writes, our Turning Point chapter decided to ban students from their chat due to their support for Tucker Carlson, who literally spoke at a Turning Point event just weeks ago. They cited hate speech as the reason, a nonsensical leftist term used to stifle free debate. My university scored poorly on free speech. I thought it was left-wing students and faculty that shut down debate, but it looks like elements of the right are equally responsible for campus censorship. Hopefully pressure from the wider community can help the Turning Point University of Florida chapter's executive board right their wrongs. And this is what it is. And look who's quoting them. Look who's quoting the TPUSA chapter, right? Look who's calling out TPUSA. It's the College Republicans chapter of Florida. What did we talk about earlier? There is a civil war happening in the Republican Party. There are 2 kinds of Republicans. There's an American, and then there's whatever else there is. There's an American, and then there's somebody who worships Jews. There's somebody who worships Israel. There's an American, there's Christians, there's Christian nationalists, and then there's those people. There's they who shouldn't even be in this country. That's crazy. College Republicans is who's sniping TPUSA here. That's what they write. The TPUSA chapter at University of Florida has censored and banned a large number of our members from their chat, citing hate speech for the student support of Tucker Carlson and dedication to free speech. We are disappointed that the TPUSA chapter has decided to censor and cancel those who they disagree with. And you can see this quote here. And open this in a new tab. You take a better look at it. Here's what they say. And thank you for subscribing. What does that say? Miko D. That's actually a cool name. But it says, our group is committed to fostering a welcoming and respectful environment for all students, regardless of political affiliation. As a nonpartisan organization, we promote open dialogue and civic engagement grounded. We promote open dialogue. We promote open dialogue. We promote open dialogue. And civic engagement grounded in mutual respect and shared democratic values. While we encourage diverse viewpoints and constructive debate, we will not tolerate hate speech, harassment, or rhetoric that promotes xenophobia, misogyny, racism, anti-Semitism, or any This is, you're telling me this isn't, you telling me Rachel Maddow didn't post this? Was this, who is this posted by again? This was posted by the foundation from Charlie Kirk, a conservative. What? Dude, it's so over, man. And it goes on because that's not the only part. In light of recent concerns and communications from university administration regarding individuals affiliated with far-right extremist movements and their threats toward members of the UF community, we are taking proactive measures to ensure the safety and integrity of our space. Any individual found engaging in or endorsing this type of rhetoric will be removed from the group me. Now I'm kind of sitting here going, hold on. I don't know why it does it twice, actually. Now I'm sitting here going, hold on. Was Charlie Kirk assassinated because he would have been the one person that would have said, no, let's engage Nick. Let's have a conversation with him. To think that that guy died doing what these people are running away from. Just it's, dude, cooked. Thank you for the super chat from KSman97. He says, maybe an unpopular opinion. I like the NYC mayor. I mean, I like him for the fact that he's going to hopefully be a catalyst for the Republican Party to look in the mirror, or one of them, whether it's for the 19th Amendment or for just the overall message in general. But yeah, I would wager that's heavily unpopular. I don't even know like what he really is. He's a populist, obviously. But a populist of what, to be exactly, is, I don't really know. He kind of ran on like social work and social justice and like being over the top, like racialized. So I don't really know what kind of a racial populist, I guess. I mean, even in his address after he won, he was like, into the Trinidadian line cooks, into the Haitian, into the Haitian pet sitters. You're just going on, and and Benny Johnson's quoting it. He's like, did anyone realize he didn't say American in there? Like, dude, Benny, give it up. But the final aspect of this, it says, and they invoke Charlie here. It says, as Charlie demonstrated through his actions and words, including his clear rejection of figures such as Nick Fuentes during his campus tour, there's no place for hatred, intolerance, and civic discourse. Our group will continue to be a space for informed, respectful, and inclusive discussion that reflects those same principles. Do you understand? You are now, everyone here, you are officially being excised completely. They're making it clear there's no home for you on the left, there's no home for you on the right. Okay. It's exactly what I highlighted with Crusader Pepe, man. You set the terms, we will accept. We're enemies. We're enemies. Thank you, House. I was trying to remember what the thing was. I threw the Haitian in there because it'd be funny. Haitians eat cats and dogs. That's Haitian pet sitters. But from Zohran, this movement was made by Yemeni bodega owners, Mexican abuelas, Senegalese taxi drivers, Uzbek nurses, Trinidadian line cooks, and Ethiopian aunties. New York City has fallen. I repeat, not a single shot was fired. America lost. That's where we're headed. That's where we're going. And on the Charlie Kirk element, get this. Get what dropped from Steve Deese. Anybody who didn't see this already. Sort of Chris Manahan, to recap. Now, we'll cover this one in a second. Was part of a secret group chat getting near daily Hasbara coaching from Israeli agent Rabbi Wolicki, Josh Hammer, and others, which I highlighted because one of the clips that Zeb and many others used, which was him talking to Ben Shapiro, going, how should we change the rhetoric on Israel? What are we getting wrong about Israel? He also said the same thing to people from Israel 365. It was a setup to give pro-Israel answers, right? Secondarily, was this one here. Wrote a secret letter to Netanyahu wherein he twice described himself as a surrogate for Israel and advised the Israeli prime minister on how to improve Israel's propaganda, which we went over. This one was recent because Dinesh D'Souza posted his text messages, which was that he was privately raging at Dinesh for debating Nick on InfoWars, which happened like a month and a half ago or 2 months ago. Now, bring us to today. The newest revelation from Steve Deese is that Charlie Kirk got a hold of Steve Deese to begin formulating a plan, a strategy to counter Nick Fuentes, Groypers, and the like from becoming a part of the movement. Listen to it
How
for
to devise.
yourself.
And one
Holy
thing I
shit.
can say to your audience is that in the last month of his life, Charlie asked me to join him in a private one-on-one signal chat. And it was specifically, this chat was specifically for him and I to put our combined heads and IQs together on how to devise and deploy a strategy to make sure that the likes of Nick Fuentes, Groypers, and any future, imitators and impersonators would never gain a legitimate foothold in our movement whatsoever. Not only did Charlie think that just morally God would never bless a movement that mainstream this, but he also just thought in practicum, very practically, it would dissolve our coalition, it would fracture it and schism it, and we can't afford that. And you saw some of the mustard seeds of what Charlie feared. You saw play out here over the last 6 days. And one thing I can say,
Absolutely crazy. And this wasn't like a year ago. This wasn't 2 years ago. In the last month of his life, Charlie built a signal group chat. As I'm sure it was more than just him and Steve Deese in there. It's not, it's looking like we're losing motive here. Looks like we're losing motive. And we're kind of, we're getting closer to some of the end. We do have one community submission. We got a major featured story we'll cover at the end here. I got a couple quick ones, actually. Supposedly, and I don't really know what to make of this, there's another growing story that's outside of this that has going to have huge ramifications, and that's the fact that it's being reported that $730 billion of the stock market was wiped out. It just disappeared. And that's to say because there is a AI bubble. Now, Ian Carroll said he was going to try to do his best to make a video about it, to explain it to people, explain it to us retards, to disseminate it down so I don't have to actually read The Economist or the Financial Times to make sense of what it is. But it's not looking good. And it seems to be a few things. It seems to be that, for one, there's a bloat of AI just in general, in terms of all the different software companies that keep getting spun up to just recreate the same kind of, color copy version of what already existed, just with different branding and a different UI. But also additionally to that, the fear in what is already happening, which is the growing, what's the word called? The growing fear that we're about to very, very quickly have a massive job loss and a huge increase for labor, a labor demand, or a job demand, a demand for a job. Because when you have Amazon and many other similar companies looking at the fact that they're basically projecting that they're not hiring upwards of 600,000 people, and Amazon just being one company big, but stretched it to all these other companies. I mean, it's very clear that this economy that's been stagnant since Trump has taken office may get worse. Not looking good at all. Uncle Halsey said that Zero Hedge predicted this a month ago. And I'm curious, I don't know where I began looking at it. I don't know if it's Zero Hedge or not, but it put it back in my head, which is why I was talking about UBI and why I covered the 600,000 jobs when it came up, was because that's the thing with technology. Slowly, then suddenly. And you think about it too, like I can't code, save my life. And if that's how quickly some of these jobs are going to be made, right? Like say this, like we don't need warehouse workers. We don't need, just basic kind of line workers or assembly workers or anything like that. And what we do actually need is like coders and like people who are tech savvy. What's they going to do? It's a huge strain. I mean, then you go look at like the universities. People are going to be changing their major left and right. I mean, it's going to be rough. And we just have nothing. We have no mechanism in place really to prevent against it. I don't know what to honestly do, like what the solution would be. And maybe we just got to figure it out as we go. Play it by ear, become cannibals. I don't know. NVIDIA and others creating shell companies to sell to. Well, that's the thing too, is I believe NVIDIA, because of the AI bubble, they're about to become the first trillion dollar company. And that's because they basically own the graphics card market. Now AMD is also there as well, but I believe as far as ray tracing goes, Nvidia dominates that. I forget what AMD started specializing in. I think it was RAM. I think it was that they went a different path to try to compete against Nvidia because Nvidia just has it locked down so much. I'm not a tech guy though. I'm just kind of giving you like smaller details, but I will try to pay attention to that and letting you guys know that too. So when Ian Carroll puts out something, or if anybody puts out anything relating to the AI bubble, I will try to make sense of it. And again, I went to OSU for economics, so maybe I'll try to put a little bit of what is remaining of my retarded intellect to use and try to make some sense of that. And the other smaller thing was Marjorie Taylor Greene reportedly might be running for president. No joke. I think this is from Dominic Michael Trippi. Put that on screen there. Dominic Michael Trippi had the report here breaking. Marjorie Taylor Greene reportedly telling people she plans to run for president. So I think it's clear that the America First Coalition will compete with the Israel First Coalition in 2028, at least in the early periods, maybe in the primaries. We'll see how that goes, but I think it'll be a resounding answer. And like I had said, I think it was on the Sunday show, the Founder Show, just like Zohran just showed us in New York City. You get even somebody who is like, dude, hell, you get Thomas Massey in there, and Thomas Massey says, listen, all I know is I'm not dying for Israel. He will win so handily. Well, I don't know if he'd win handily, but he'd be the favorite. He would poll people, same thing, whether it was like Tucker or somebody, they just come out and they say, I'm running on decoupling from Israel. That would be either the moment where the Republican Party changes as a whole, or you would see the opening there for a third party, maybe for the first time ever. Somebody got to do it. Somebody had to do it. Like, somebody please do it, right? Like, I can't. Like, I'm too young. I wouldn't be able to run. I would do it just to test it, right? Like, I have one platform, and it said I'm not giving money to Israel. That's it. I'm not promising anything else. I can only promise you that if they come to me for money for Israel, I'll say no. Like, how far would just that platform go without any other positions? I think it'd be a spectacle to watch, that's for sure. No, getting back into a bit more of the Project Esther, getting into, once again, Uncle House AI with another grade community submission.
This is today's community submission.
And then we have YouTube deleting 700 videos documenting Israeli human rights violations. This is what Project Esther is. Now I have this here from the archive. I'll switch over so you guys can see it. YouTube quietly erased more than 700 videos documenting Israeli human rights violations. Now this blew me away. But the story goes is something like this. They started deleting the videos in early October, started in one channel on October 3rd, then another one, I think the other two were on October 7th. And they're from three major channels. It was from Al-Mazan Center. I'll go back to the screen, it's just easier. Al-Mazan Center for Human Rights and the Palestinian Center for Human Rights. So three human rights organizations. And the reason why is because Trump administration escalated its defense of Israel because the ICC issued arrest warrants because the pressure against Netanyahu has been building. And they don't, beyond just Netanyahu, they also issued an arrest warrant to Defense Secretary Yoav Gallant. And it was for intentionally starving civilians, right? Human rights violations. And what's funny was 4 of the judges who issued the warrants were arrested, or not arrested, they got sanctions on them after they placed the warrant. Like, you can't make it up. You just can't. And the ICC being the International Criminal Court, something like that, which we're not party to, neither us or Israel is actually party to, because we're not like in the Rome statute or something along those lines. But regardless, it's like the world is publicly putting pressure on Israel, right? The world, this is like a world court, an international court that is continually pushing these things out there. And the channels that got deleted were ones that were largely, who facilitated a lot of that, who fed a lot of material both on their YouTube channel and to the ICC to help build cases against Netanyahu. And the reason why YouTube and Google, is because of the sanctions that Trump placed on them. Specific sanctions to those organizations placed by the Trump administration. That's what YouTube honored, deleting all 3 of their channels, nuking 700 videos. And it was through this story, and I think most people are probably going to be talking about it as through the day, because I think this is just the beginning. I would imagine more channels probably need to be fearful of. I'm fearful because I have a little documentary about Project Esther, which I think I literally do reference videos from it's Al Hack. No, it's Al Mazin Center. I like literally have a clip of their video, I think, in 2 different spots in my Project Esther documentary. So we'll see if I'm here in a couple of days, all because of that. And it's just bullshit too. There was no notice, nothing, just deleted, gone. In addition to that, I read further into the story about, some of these sanctions that came in, reading into some of the cases from this Project Esther, and that's basically what this is, right? This continued push for this overwhelming kind of Patriot Act 2.0, purely for anti-Semitism, right, and being pro-Israel. I read about Robert Inniclesh. I think was it Robert Inniclesh? No, his name was like Tall or something. But no joke, and this is what I'll say on this. If anybody remembers, there was like this ongoing debate that happened on Timcast IRL, and it was being proposed by Ian Crossan. And Ian Crossan was saying, if protests get too loud, that should be considered a health risk factor, like because you could hurt your ears. It's too loud. In the affidavit for hunting down one of these guys for their anti-Semitic activities, the calling card for what he threatened people's medical conditions for was exactly that. Was the protest was loud, and the medical conditions that, or the medical risks that were raised were people's hearing could be harmed. Like, what? It's just, and again, what can you do? What can you do? Here I am. What can you do? What am I even doing all of this for? Right? It is a literal fucking joke, right? I'm surrounded by LARPers. I'm surrounded by fat slobs constantly. I'm surrounded by a bunch of fucking idiots. While American interests get absolutely shat on, Christianity gets vacated out of this country. The GOP, who's supposed to represent me, does everything but that. Racism sits on the throne of this country. And I'm not trying to be blackpilling, but it is very, very, very dissuading to do much. When the most that anyone can come with you at all is just like, well, let's just rise up and shoot people. Okay. I think I'm going to see my way out. I'm going to go play Fortnite. You tell me how that goes. And when it fails and it gets worse for us out here, I'm going to beat the trolling. But that's what it feels like. It feels like it's so obvious, it's so in front of us, and all the people who complain the most do the least. And, I know a lot of you guys who are in here, are retarded, and I think we all kind of suffer from the same things. We hear things at work, we're going through our regular days at our life, and you're just like, you ask God, you're like, how can it be this way? Lord, help me now. When I play duos, I might actually do a Fortnite stream, before too long, to be honest. But that is all that I had for you guys today. That was going to be the end of all of that, the wrap up here. Didn't want to be too blackpilling at all, but again, it does look like, as of right now, we are in the trenches for a blue wave, for a lot of Democrats coming back into power. And what does that spell for us? Lord have mercy. So with that, I do hope everybody has a good rest of your night. I do hope that you guys are continuing your journey with Christ. You better have opened your Bibles today. If not, you better find it right now and do so. Christ is King, to Port Cash Patel. We have the group report on Saturday. That's 8 to 10 p.m. weekly. We also have the Sunday show as well this Sunday coming up too. Make sure you're subscribed to Nav as well. I will try to get some more realistic stuff here getting done. Getting a more debate panel set up as well too. Getting some stuff worked out. And I will not be here tomorrow. So remember that, guys. I will not be here tomorrow. I might do members if I get a chance. I might do something members related in the morning, like early. But if not, I'll try to do that on Friday. So I'll be back Friday. I have a state mandated wedding night or date night. Lord forgive me. State mandated date night. They're forcing me. It was either that or facing the wall. I didn't want to do it. Just messing. I appreciate you guys. Christ is King. As always, the Portcast should tell, ban women from public life. But most of all, Pam Bondi needs to go first. I will see you guys next time. Take care.
Get up and get out. Get out. Get out. I have a question for you. Say Christ is Lord. Say Christ is Lord. Say it. You say Christ is Lord. Get out. Get out. Christ is